listening is disturbing. Creative rise, I was positive surgeon. Cosmic folks see emergence. Brain of eternal, hands on my time. Impossible prince can God watch you step in the mind. Soul triggers, power holy divine righteousness. Combined with courage, love of essence. Don't let trauma bind and block your blessings. When you behind the veil, you hear the confession. Give you limitation, corruption, fear, deception. This the age of knowing, evolution, and resurrection. Welcome back to another episode of Talk That Crap. I'm joined today with my brother Donnie Divine from Divine Time and my brother Sigma Uno. And today we're going to have a great conversation on how they monetize the culture. It's all about you and what's your agenda. Now we've been around and we've seen a lot of things, because we're gonna get right into it. I don't got a whole lot to say. Y'all brothers, please introduce yourself. I think they already know who you are. Y'all done been here a couple of times, so just give them a quick breakdown of who y'all are, and we're gonna get into it.
You want to go first, Mr. Sigma?
I yield. Go ahead.
By all means.
My name is Sigma Uno. Oh, go ahead, Danley. Go ahead. You good. Go ahead.
Hey, he's got it.
Boom.
Sigma Uno. I am a community person, 100%. I support young adults and youth that are dealing with behavioral health and issues in a changing world. I love my people, and I want to continue supporting.
Hey, she made it.
She made it.
Hey, I'm up in here.
What's up,
How
Miss
you
Money?
doing?
I'm doing well. How y'all doing today?
Blessing.
Doing all right,
Appreciate you chiming in. Appreciate you chiming in with us.
Absolutely. Thank you for having me.
You stepped in just as we were doing introductions. So, I mean, I guess ladies first.
Ladies first. Okay.
Wow.
hey, that you ain't supposed to do that. That's a low blow. That's a low blow.
She wasn't in here.
I know, but you already know who already went. Oh, that's a low blow. Bah, bah, bah. Shots fired. Shots fired.
Put me on blast.
Fired.
Shots fired.
They doing you like that, Walter?
Pretty much.
I'm sorry.
That's what happened. No, just yield to Mr. Danley and let him do it. We yield.
Hey, y'all bring it back. Introduce this.
Okay,
Priestess.
so introduce. Yeah. So what would you like to know about me? I'm Priestess Imani. I'm a priest within a Cuban tradition. I read bones. I'm a bone reader. And I'm just happy to be here.
Oh, I have to set me an appointment up with you for sure.
Bring it on. Let me pick a bone with you.
For sure. Donnie, go ahead and introduce yourself right quick.
What's good? It's your boy Donley Divine. My face looks like it's getting fuller. I'm just an individual who I have come to realize that, you know what, I am a connector, I am a lover, but I'm also a warrior of love. And with that, I'm always standing up for what I feel is right. I like to be a voice for those who feel that they don't have one. Plus, at the same time, I'm trying to bring love back into a world that's being overrun by a lot of negativity and lower vibes. And with that, relax your mind. It's Divine Time. Let's get into it.
All right. Everything was good until you used the word try. So don't try to bring love into the world.
Down.
Bring it. You was good. Everything was on point. I was running with you. Take the thing out of the way. And as y'all know, I'm your host, Impossible. And we are here just to shed that light, have a good time, let evolution happen at a daily break. Every hour on the hour, every minute by the minute. And I guess they gave us sexes too, but we don't even know what time it is, so we're not even going to talk about time this evening. Tonight, we're going to talk about how they had took a culture, monetized it, and sold it back to us. That we looking at them as a creator and not realizing our own culture. And everything that has been presented to us that we purchased today, that we participate in, was actually a creation that came from indigenous people. And then they turned around and told it and stuck it and stole it. And then they turned around and sold it to us. Or they converted it and made you into this particular model. And then now you're trying to figure out who you are. So could y'all talk tonight a little bit about a culture that has been stolen and monetized?
Definitely.
Don't everybody jump at one time. Don't everybody jump.
So, man, where do we start? This has been,
Any way you want.
it's been my understanding for a number of years now, uh, coming from the understanding of slavery, even before that, us being indigenous to the world, period, how everything kind of turned into this ability to, they took the weakest of us, they made us slaves, we worked their fields, we tend to their animals, we, what was it, cotton was the number one. Cotton was the number one. What else? Jeez. Corn. I mean, for anything you could think of that needed to be harvested for them to sell for them to sell to make money is what we picked and processed for them. After slavery was over, so-called slavery was over, which wasn't clearly over. In some states, I think we were reading the other day that slavery was still prevalent in one state and didn't end until 1995. So the Emancipation
Wow.
Proclamation did not work as well as they thought it did. And we still have lynching and a lot of things that are happening. But everything that has been built, everything that has been established in the United States or was already established belonged to us. And now, like you said, any t-shirts that you wear, socks, underwear that are made from cotton and that we buy is something that we set the standard for. So as hard as we worked, we still have to buy the things that we produced, which is ugly and ignorant, and the basis of the wealth of the United States, in addition to its people. So chattel slavery or chattel paper is the idea that they had to market us as a people to claim any wealth. So birth certificates, uh, fingerprints, mug shots. When you go to prison and they take a mug shot and fingerprints, that is monetized. The federal government takes a hold of that, and that's a worth and a wealth, and they get paid for every prisoner that goes into prison. How many? And that's a revolving door. How many people go to prison and on a daily basis, released and done probation, and man, you name it, the system that we're in, that we support, is what's been monetized, and we're still paying for it. It's ridiculous and it's ugly. There's no change. There hasn't been a change. The system is continually revolving, and the only way to begin to end it or pull away from it is to realize, like they did in Tulsa, Oklahoma, and many other, now Greenwood, Oklahoma, and many other states, when we begin to build for ourselves, that we're able and we're capable of building for ourselves and starting over and making a change and coming together as a people to step aside from this ugly system. My my opinion is that everyone that stepped forward and made an effort to change things for the better of us, some good, some bad, but it was an effort. So when you had Martin Luther King, when you had Rosa Parks, you had all the people that saw an injustice or how we were being treated, and they decided to do something about it. Whether it was later on dubbed as something that put the society in a place, in a position, in a place to put us in a different type of slavery, like Jim Crow or redlining and all the rest of this other stuff that's happened throughout the years. It still put us in a place to where we're in a system that doesn't like us, that doesn't care about us, that doesn't care about our well-being. They give us the bare minimum of everything if we take it, and the only way, again, out of this is to band together as a people and create a site from a system that does not really work for us.
I want to add something to what you said. You know that when we get incarcerated, they take our inmate numbers and they sell that as stocks, right?
That's it. That's
I mean,
all
when
this
you
stuff.
said that was something that really had irritated me when I learned about that, and which also made me tap into understanding this culture that they created for us. Because the way that we perceive ourselves and the things that we're doing, the way that we portray ourselves is not who we are. I'm like, so they have us running around literally like it was in the slave times. They started to, all right, let me break it down to the best way I can say. In the Marine Corps, we have this one ditty, cadence correction, and we're like, first phase, you break them down, second phase start to come around, third phase, standing lean and mean, graduation, standing tall, my greens. When they took these prisoners of war, because that's ultimately what they were. They weren't slaves. Why the hell would you go to sail all the way across the world to grab people and then sail back? Like, that doesn't really make sense. So I'm like, prisoner of war, that's the only time that you really see when you have servants, when you end up having those individuals acting as slaves, when you take over a place. So with that, when we were prisoners, they started stripping us down of the culture that we had, making it to where within the first 60 years, you can literally wipe out everything that a person has created when it comes down to who they are, their essence, their being, all of that. If you get rid of all of that, within 60 years, you have a whole new clean slate. So now it's like you're literally indoctrinating the children, pushing them through. Now, the thing that gets me the most, where I laugh at right now, since we're talking about monetizing our culture, the culture they created was for us to for us to unalive one another, for us to sit here and make it to where there's no melanated men in the household, make it to where now you have it to where the women are seeming more masculine, to where a lot of guys don't really even want to deal with it. But they had made it into a culture to where, oh, niggas ain't shit, bitches ain't shit. Ooh, get money, do this, shake your ass. It's a whole lot of disrespect on both sides. Now, when it comes down to that, you have the domestic violence at the same time introducing the crack in the, what was it, the 80s? No, the crack
80s.
came in like 50s.
Yeah. Crack.
So I'm like,
crack was the 80s and 90s. Yeah, crack
it was already here, but in the 80s and 90s, it exploded. It was already coming across, and they were using it for personal purposes, but it exploded onto the streets of the ghettos in the 80s, late 80s.
So when they brought the crack,
was something big in the 70s.
When they brought the crack in, though, that's when they started arresting a lot of us. That's when they got us hooked on a drug that they created, and then started arresting a lot of us. So that way, you remember when Biden said that you are the souls of the country? In his most not his, but in one of his presidential speeches that he did when he was president, before he decided to damn near drop. He said, I think the title of the speech was "The Soul of the Country," Soul of America. There we go, Soul of America. So he already is saying, like, you know what? We are the souls of America. They were literally making bank off of us. Without us actually being here, this land would not be as fruitful as it is. No. But I'm gonna cut it off because I know Miss Priestess Imani want to talk.
I want to kind of piggyback off of y'all, because I think the reason why we're mentioning slavery is because I think it's really not about, I mean, they're monetizing culture, but they monetize culture through the creators by owning us. And
Mm-hmm.
culture is based off of what you can do for yourself and your people. And of
Mm-hmm.
course, we are the originators of civilization. So, who are the best people to go to assist you, whether
Mm-hmm.
by asking or by force, to build your
Mm-hmm.
nation? And in fact,
Mm-hmm.
we also civilized them and helped to advance their civilizations in Europe, and
That's it.
gave them land to
Mm-hmm.
be at, etc. So,
Right.
our ability to cultivate, our ability to procreate and reproduce, that's really what they're monetizing. And
Mm-hmm.
our ability to reproduce is the biggest thing. Whether they're monetizing off of imprisoning what we reproduce, or killing what we reproduce, because there's money in death. Um,
Mm-hmm.
like you said, monetizing from having parents not available to be in the home or capable of providing in the home. Culture is what you can do for yourself and your people. So outside of maybe religions and things like that that they sold, the fact that they sold us, um, it just gives them a lot. Everything that we see came from us directly or indirectly. Um,
Mm-hmm.
so yeah, that's my input.
I mean, everybody had a great joint, and I always look at the culture as far as who we are as a people, as indigenous people, and to see the heritage of that being taken, slandered, and monetized, that is insulting. You know, the for them to create all of the systems and all of the things they did just to keep a people at a low vibration. They
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
again, that's diabolical. They did it in such a systematic way that it took away from us, and then it took away from a culture that it began to be all right for it not to be your culture.
Mm-hmm. Right.
You know,
Right.
most people don't even want to deal with their culture because they're too busy in the Tom Fords and the Gucci bags and the red bottoms and the whole 9 yards, and
Right.
they giving money away to people that don't even care about if you live or die.
And
And in their
the
communities, they don't want to get at.
Yeah, I bet the
no.
fabric they wearing ain't even of the frequency we supposed to have either.
But see, and then when you're talking about energy, the ghetto is designed to be the slowest moving energy: asphalt, concrete, no trees, how closely they live to each other, how the conflict is instituted, how all you hear is sirens, how all you hear is fighting and gunfire. It's like living in a war zone. There's no peace there. There's no ability to create a positive energy. All of that is monetized, like Princess Money was saying. All that is monetized. The idea that they the idea that they sit back and they determine what's in the economy. When I found out what the economy was based on, it's based on it's based on criminology, it's based on homeless, it's based on poor, it's based on middle class. All of that is what we're competing to be a level. We're competing to be on one of those levels, and they're getting paid and they're generating funds on all of those levels. And because we're trying to survive, we only fit in a level like Claude Anderson was saying. We will become permanent second class citizens based on their design of the economy because there's no real help. The system of welfare is a revolving door. It never puts you in a position to where you're actually debt free or independent. It's always dependent on them. And as the rules change, you either get kicked off or you God, I remember talking to a young lady that was having children just to be able to get welfare.
Mm.
That's
Wow.
all she was having children for. And she got up to five. They changed the law and said that wasn't possible anymore. They were allowing her to be on it 6 months after her last child was born, and they would not pay anymore to support her. if she had another child. So it's
Mm.
sickening because that's what she had to do, right? It's what she had to do to what she felt like she had to do to survive. But they're changing the rules, and we're playing by the rules. If we're playing by the rules and we
They
don't
chose
plan for anything else, we are we're asked out if it goes away, and 9 times out of 10 it does. That's what happens when the economy shifts. You know what I'm saying? And the money that we spend, I mean, the mindset of people is sad because you work all year, no money's being put away because you can't. And I'm not saying this is a this is a plan based on what they're wanting to do is what they have to do. They're always in this mindset of hustle. I have to do what I need to do to to make money. There's no planning. So you work all year, you come to the time tax return comes, their plan for their tax return is the Gucci, is the is the Gucci, is
Mhm.
the red bottoms, it's the whatever they have the sights on. You know what I'm saying? And when all that
Mhm.
happens, you could the minute that you get it, it's gone. They've already spent it. There's no planning for purchasing a home. There's no planning for anything that is going to be generational, considered generational wealth. So
Mhm.
they are only keeping us in this circle. And once we're in this circle, we're stuck. That's why you have to begin to make plans to go in a different direction.
Um,
It's interesting.
I'm listening to what you're saying, and sometimes I think we give them more credit than what is due. I'm
Come
not
on,
saying that things aren't
come on.
systematic,
Mhm.
but they're incapable of creating anything high vibrational. They can't even do it for themselves. So
No.
not only are they creating, certain environments, low vibrational environments for ourselves. I mean, look at the planet. Everywhere they go, they create low vibration. That's just their vibration. So they really can't help it. It's po little tink tink out here. So I mean, really, they're slow. The destruction is the
Real shit.
destruction is crazy. So I
Mhm.
mean, I think that there's a part of me that says I don't believe in white supremacy because there's nothing supreme about whiteness.
No,
It is an
no, you're right.
illusion. It's an
Right.
illusion. And what I do believe in is our empowerment, our power, our ability and capability. And I think the
Mhm.
more that we turn ourselves toward ourselves and our culture, our
There
source,
you go.
we are more
Mhm.
capable of creating our vibrational environment. We can't complain about what they're doing for us. We have
Right.
to hold ourselves accountable and do what we can do for ourselves. Thus, that is what
Right.
culture is.
That's it. That's
And
it.
to piggyback on top of that
100%.
mic
too,
drop.
culture helps you identify with who you are. That's why most people have a difficulty understanding who they are. They're not into their culture. They're into
No.
everything else. They took a rich culture, monetized it, got paid from it, and tell you not to deal with it. Once you understand
Mhm.
your culture, once you reconnect with your true culture, yourself, you be all right. But yeah,
Mhm.
they have done a wonderful job.
That
But
was
that's
their.
Well,
all they did.
I feel like
That's all they did was did a job. You
that
know,
was the
I mean,
importance. That was the importance of the segregation. Because what they
nah,
ultimately try to do is that they have fooled us. They fooled us. We are gods. They had us thinking that we are not being equal to them, humans,
we're not.
mhm.
and then tried to make it seem like we are below them.
Right.
So they literally took everything. They literally have it to where they took us out of our power and actually made us believe it. We are greater than them, but we were fighting so hard just to try and be equal to them because we have
Mm,
Exactly.
forgot who we are.
you know what? I say even as slaves, we were gods because we were the source of everything.
Oh yeah, everybody now trying to eat some
Mhm.
Yeah.
soul food. I'm like, yo,
Come on, can we talk about?
that came
I
from the
wanted to
scrap.
talk about the food. Why is oxtail so high? Let's talk monetizing culture. Y'all was throwing oxtails to us as scraps. Now
Yep,
y'all
As
selling
scrap.
oxtails,
As
chitlins and
scraps.
chicken. I'm like, bro, we don't even
Chitlins,
chitlins
eat that
high, pigtails high,
rooster
turkey
feet,
necks high.
because they
rooster
jumping on
feet.
the bandwagon. They culture vultures. Culture vultures.
Right. That's it.
Again,
It's
They are.
all they can do is
crazy.
That's
copy. They can only copy.
what
Yep.
They don't know how
I
to
saw in the
create. They can
store.
only copy.
Right. I saw in the store. You know, your grandmother used to keep that oil, the bacon oil on the
That
stove.
Crisco, that Crisco on the
Yeah,
stove.
It's literally being marketed right now. It's in a store. You can buy it.
What? Old oil?
Straight up.
No, bacon oil. That's what it is. Bacon
And
oil, whatever oil you cook with. It's
Man,
crazy.
go
But
ahead,
you
man.
can buy it.
the best way to market it is to put a black mammy on the face of it.
That's it.
And
That's
again,
Hey,
it.
they know
I
how
I
to
told
find
use
my
it.
that
wife
Uncle
earlier
Ben.
today. I told my wife earlier today, I was like, watch. I was like, you're gonna have a bunch of Caucasians, a bunch of little Wahite tribes gonna sit there, do ancestry, find out that somewhere down their line, their great grandma was getting piped down by a slave. Now they got 5% black in them. They're gonna go to the grocery store and be like, Mommy, I gotta buy some Lowry seasoning salt.
Try to get some
Yeah.
seasoning salt up in here. But
Right.
yeah, anybody else got
But
anything else
yeah.
they want to input? Because I mean, there's so many places of where they took culture away. They
Yeah.
took
Right.
the health system. They took away that culture and they monetized it. The food system they took it away and they monetized it. The school industry they took it away and they monetized it. So
I
and
would like
every
to add something if possible.
go ahead.
I want to mention that when you go back in time, oftentimes women are given the credit for civilization, whether it's through the guise of goddesses or ma'at, etc. And women are usually responsible for creating those institutions because we are the first teachers,
Facts.
such as healing and making a home, ladies of the house. Just everything about civilization usually originates from women, even hunting, some of the things that we had to teach our sons to do. And I think that a lot of the theft within our culture has happened when we started to have separations between women and men. And we also
Facts.
hear about how they had the war on women as far as accusing us of being witches, which isn't necessarily a bad thing, but accusing us of being witches, burning us, and these things still happen, especially in the continent of Africa.
Right.
So I think the separation between the black man and the black woman and that disunity led
Yes.
into further forms, and that is what weakened us. Um, and we still see that being promoted today, like Danley was saying, with the false culture that we're being given to keep us separated. Um, and then, like I was mentioning, the black mammy. I've been looking into the mammy, the sambo, the coon, and all of these different things. And it's like we still deal with those stereotypes, but now it's cool to be those things in a way.
Right.
Um, it's like it just goes on and on when it comes to this issue and how it affects us. And I just feel like it can be really challenging to find a solution. But I'm dropping that there, and then I want to mention this before we go forward. Can we also talk about how people are trying to find themselves these days, and that
Yeah.
even within the so-called conscious community, there's so much separation,
Look at that.
because this person identifies as Hebrew Israelite. So now we're all Hebrew Israelite. This person identifies as
I love how
Moors.
King's
So we're
transitioned
all
into it.
Moors. This person is Native American. And, and my thing is sometimes we have to find our truth and live by our truth and allow others to find their truth. We can't necessarily
Right.
classify others based upon what we find out for ourselves. So, yeah.
Look,
Yeah.
Priestess, all I would say that our next segment was it's all about you. And while you were talking, that's exactly what you were describing. It's all about you. So it was a beautiful thing. I didn't even have to say anything in the segue. You was already in mode, and I just started laughing. I was like,
That's the
y'all know
nature
what
of a
time
woman,
it is.
baby. That's the nature of a woman.
Woo! Woo! What y'all know about
That
that?
is
What y'all know about the priestess in the building tonight? All right. So, I
oh
mean,
man.
so many people today are waking up. They're all realizing. They're all coming back to their culture. They all learning to eat better. They all understanding that herbs will help them, not hurt them. They are looking for alternative ways in order to take care of themselves. So we know that a lot of people are coming back and understanding, hey, you know what? It was something they took, they stole, they lied, they cheated. But you know what? This is still my culture. So a lot of people are coming back home and realizing their culture. And because that, we understand that the power that resides in what dwells within. So when we say it's all about you, we saying it's truly all about you. Your thoughts, your actions, your culture, your heritage, your goals, your purpose. Like everything is about all about you because you possess a power to bring forward all that is within you. So it's all about you. So it can everybody talk about is all about you.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it truly is all about us. That's the reason why they do so much to try and have it to where we low key kind of hate ourselves. I mean,
Oh
they
yeah.
put us in situations to where, like how Mr. Sigmuno was talking about, you have death, destruction, sirens, all these things going around constantly, to where it's like you're constantly living in a state of fear. I'm like, when you're living in a state of fear constantly like that, it's hard to it's hard to be able to conduct a normal life because you're always wondering, okay, what's around that corner? What's going to happen next? You're always thinking of the worst things that can happen. You kind of you become a pessimist without realizing that you are. So now with
Right.
that, the way that we have been taught, like mental health is bad. You need to work a 9 to 5. You need to have this and this by the time you're this age. If you ain't shit. Like things like that. It's constant. It allows us to keep talking down to ourselves and down to our children and passing that behavior on because nobody's there to tell you that that's not the way to think. That's not the way to live. You are more than that. Nobody gives you those affirmations. You hear more about the things that you're doing wrong than the things that you are doing right. So when people really sit there and can write down on a piece of paper more positive things about themselves than they can negative things, that's going to be the first sign of growth.
Mm.
Because you cannot do anything, you cannot fix anything if the foundation is broken. And if you are the foundation, how do you expect to be able to help somebody else? A lot of times when I talk to people, I'm noticing things about myself, which if we all are connected, the things that you're going through, I'm sure I can learn from that as well. We have to learn and grow from one another. And if somebody, what's that saying? You're only as strong as your weakest link.
Mm-hmm.
So if we are trying to build a community, we have somebody who we're not helping them come up, then we all are only as strong as that individual. So with that, we have to literally work on ourselves so that way we can better the rest of everybody around us, the community that we say we want to build, the community that we need to build. Because right now there is such a lack of community that I swear the rats in New York and the sewers are laughing at us. And I'm not talking about Master Splinter either.
I just to piggyback on what you're saying, it's true. It's where you grew up, where you were raised, is going to determine how you approach life, and whether if there was information missing or not, the experience of life shows you how the experience of life without knowing who you are. Let me correct that. The experience of life without knowing who you are is going to be a lot more rough than it would be if you were given the information you need to survive. And I'm not talking about just words. I'm talking about standard, a way to live, of how to deal with people, how to support people, how to work with people, how to be a community. Majority of the time, like you were talking about, there we suffer from this rising in ourself that's called cortisol. What cortisol does, it puts you in a fight or flight mode, and anything involving traumatic experience and induced fear uh, uh, is supported by cortisol. So your mind is racing. You're in a heightened sense of living all the time. Everything's quick, 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 fast, and in a hurry. And it puts you in a state of mind to where you do whatever you have to do to get what you're trying to get. That's where murder comes in. That's where harming others come in. That's where not caring about other people comes in. And that is the plant that this is the destruction of a community. It slowly but surely tears everything down. I remember living in a community where there were markers, there were people in the community that were they were stable. Gentleman that I knew that owned several houses. Another gentleman I knew that owned a mechanic shop. Another gentleman that I knew that owned a bar. And we watched them get older. We watched them try to pass down information to their children or to anyone that would listen. And then we watched them die. And we watched their motivation for their community die with them. We watched the loss of their houses. We watched the loss of the bar. We watched the loss of institutions. We watched a decimation of a black neighborhood completely. And gentrification happened. Everybody was moved to the outskirts cities, and we lost that city because we weren't paying attention, because we didn't learn from what they were trying to teach us. They were rooted, they were older than us by 30 or 40 years. They knew how to sustain a community, but no one was listening. You see what I'm saying? So information is not just talking, information is watching. I was an apprentice when I was 10 or 11 years old, watching my grandfather work on cars, watching my grandfather build televisions or fix TVs. All of that is community based, and what they're teaching is not for for anything that is damaging to you. Is they need you to learn this so they can move on, or when they get too old to do it, you can step in and do it for them. That's what it was all about. You see what I'm saying? It's changed, and somebody has to step into the place and begin to teach. We have it in us. That's not a problem. We know we can do literally anything we want to do. We have that power. It has to be reintroduced in some cases, but we have the power to do it. You see what I'm saying? So being in that mindset of it's all about me, it's all about what I want to do. It comes from this place that you've learned from. And not everything happened when your child was bad. For me, it wasn't all bad. I learned a lot. I can do literally anything, but when you get out here and you start bumping heads with people that don't want it to happen, or don't want to see you succeed, and nine out of 10, it's us that is pushing against us. They're watching like Danny said, they're watching in the outskirts like, is these niggas gonna get it together? I guess not this year. And we have people that come up like I said, Claude Anderson. Claude Anderson, he did I want to say 4 or 5 groups. In each one, the 3 of them were in a church. He did podcasts, and he was really on this move to where he's like, look, we have a small window. We have a very small window here. Either we're going to step up and become a community above second class, or we're going to be stuck here. And he digressed eventually. He wrote a book or two. He's sitting back waiting to see what we're gonna do. But he's that elder that's like, look, it's out here. Let's get it done. We can do it. I know we can. We have situations in history where we've done it multiple times. Yeah, they flooded it out. Who gives a damn? We have the power to buy more property. We have the power to do whatever we have to do to survive. We've shown that on multiple occasions. It is about us. It's about us passing down legacy. It's about us leaving a mark here and making sure our children and our families are taken care of, even if we're gone. There's a book that Priest Imani sent out some years ago. It was called Nature of Nature. And I'm telling you, it's a good read. And it talks about things like this. It talks about the fading of a generation and the belief system that faded with us, that faded with it. It talks about where your power is. I mean, I'll have it. I'll send it to you, or I'll drop it in the Dropbox. But it's basically talking about somewhat of the same thing that we're talking about now. Where's our power at? Where's our power? Why are we afraid to show our power? You see what I'm saying? Go ahead, Miss Priest Damani.
Oh, thank you so much.
Mhm,
Yo, I was when I was leaning into your conversation, I was really drawn towards what you were saying about information and learning.
mhm, mhm,
And within that, I felt within myself, it's about me. It's all about me. It's always been
mhm,
about me. Even before
mhm,
I even knew there was a me, it's always been about me, right?
mhm.
And
Right.
within that, I realized that I've always loved myself.
Mhm,
Sometimes within that love of self, you wanted to reflect in this world some type of way. And my
mhm,
love of self has led me to many schools of thought. It's like I'm seeking my
mhm,
mysteries, I'm seeking my culture, I'm seeking myself. And does this experience reflect who I am? And all of those
mhm,
experiences that I had in those schools of thought reflected who I was at the time. And by the time I walk away from those
mhm,
experiences, I'm taking pieces of myself with me. I always like to think too, when I'm studying a book or if I'm reading some kind of literature, that whatever I am absorbing is a reflection of who I am. And there's been times where I'm reading a book and it's like, I already know this. Like I'm just
mhm.
activating something that's been
Right,
dormant, right?
right,
And
right, right, right.
ultimately, that is what ancestral wisdom is. It's already encoded in you. And of course, what we call God or
Mhm,
what we call source is the greatest ancestor or the common ancestor of all things. So we have that God gene. I remember not knowing myself, even though I loved myself where I was at the time. And the more I continue to
mhm,
evolve in knowing myself, I must admit that in knowing myself, I understand more what it means to fear God,
Mm.
because the more I
mhm,
unveiled who I was, I feared myself. I was afraid. I am too
mhm.
big for this human experience. I'm too big for this
Right.
job. I'm too big to sit in this classroom. What if I snap? What if I say something? What if I do something wrong? What if they realize I'm this big? What if they realize I'm great?
Right.
And I go through that on a regular basis. Like I still deal with
Mhm,
that. So it's
Hmm.
when somebody had mentioned fear, you mentioned cortisol,
mhm,
and you mentioned about trauma response.
mhm,
As slaves, to know anything was stressful.
mhm.
You can't know how to
That's it.
read. You can't know
Right.
how to do anything unless master is going to monetize it.
Mm.
Mhm.
Anything you know outside of his benefit can
There's
get
a
you
problem.
killed.
You a
Yeah.
problem?
You're a problem. It's the same trauma
Hmm.
response.
That's
So I think the trauma, the fear keeps us from returning to our culture, wanting to look to ourselves. And it keeps us unaccountable as well. There
mhm,
was something else I wanted to say around that, but I lost it, but it'll come back to me.
You know what's interesting? On the topic of fear, exactly what they did to the slaves is exactly what the corporation has done to this country. Everybody operates out of fear now. And they also, the government has made it to where you have to rely on them for everything. If they say you can't have it, then you're not going to be able to get it. They give you just enough to keep you coming back. That is with the
Mm.
welfare, that is with social security, that is with
mhm,
unemployment. I'm like, it. What's that book? Slavery by Another Name? I'm
mhm,
like, literally, it's everything that we have gone through. They have, it's like we were the test, it's like we were the test subjects before to see, like, okay, can we run this out to the whole country? And now they have done that. And it's just, once you understand and you truly love yourself and you start seeing these things, that's when you start getting called the things like conspiracy theorists. And some people call you a
mhm,
prophet because you say the things that actually end up happening later on. They're like, oh my God. I'm like, you start making sense to other individuals who think the same way. The Rothschilds said, we don't want a nation of thinkers, we want a nation of workers. And I mean,
Mm-mm.
with
yeah,
that, so they keep us in a
mhm,
state of where we're just constantly working. You can't afford anything, you can't do anything. Even if they, what was it? They had a pension back in the day. Now they have the 401k. That was an experiment to see how long it'll take for motherfuckers to realize, you know what, we ain't getting shit no more.
Telling you,
nothing.
it's like Squid
Right.
Games.
Exactly.
That's it. Exactly.
I mean, in all honesty, you have to love yourself because don't nobody fucking else love you the way that you can love yourself.
No,
I mean,
no.
nobody else is going to love you. If you want something, you got to get it yourself. If you need to do something, you need to do it yourself. I got rules that I live by. If I don't do it, it won't get done. If I see something wrong, fix it.
Hold up, y'all don't love me?
I mean, you okay?
Hell yeah. Yeah, we love you.
We love you.
Look,
We love you.
I haven't even met you, and I love you already, and I haven't even met you. You know what I mean?
Oh, blessings. Thank you. Thank
Yeah.
you. Look, it's all about me, Danley. Everything you said was about me, so I had to bring it back home.
Gotta bring it back. So you don't love me?
Hey,
So listen, and you know the beautiful thing about this whole it's all about you is if you base it on principles and values and you link it to your culture,
Mm,
you link it to a way of eating and health. When you link
mm,
it together, you a whole different being. You're
mm,
not going to be able to it's all about you in the streets, you in the clubs. You got 4 or 5 different women. The chick, she got 4 or 5 different dudes. Nobody, and you eating the Freddy's and Popeye's chicken and everything else to go along with it, you know, and then you saying, I don't have a good relationship. What?
why?
So it's all about you. You know what I'm saying? Like
mhm.
do we actually revere our own spirit and mind?
Come on now.
And as a priest had just said, you when she learned who she was afraid. I was too. I remember sitting in the mirror smoking,
Ooh.
and my spirit said, "Let me out, let me out. God damn it, it's my
Mm,
time. You done
mm,
had your time. Now it's my turn. Move
mm,
out the way. You can't stop me. I don't care what you doing. You can't stop me." And I'm like this.
mm.
So yeah, that's a scary moment.
Yes, it
Yet,
is.
what it actually allowed me to evolve into, because I live a life of evolution. You know what I'm saying? So every day I'm looking to evolve from something. If I'm not evolving, like what we doing? What we talking
Hey, the weed be letting you know evil lurks.
about? Hit the tree.
Hello.
For
You know what I'm
real.
saying? Look, look.
A similar thing happened to me. Smoking and listening to Haitian music.
What was it?
Why did I
Compa
do that?
Dumpa?
well, and look, it couldn't be no difference in me jumping on a couple of grams of shroom and just going to other dimensions, you know?
Oh, gee.
No, no. Yeah, you.
I just I just
You
I
know, you
just
can
hop
have
on
that
I just
one.
hop on that I just hop on that I just hop on that shroom train.
Yeah, well, you do the shrooms and then turn on some Haitian voodoo music and let me know how that work out for
Ooh,
you.
and listen, I would that would be
Story
Oh,
time.
man.
yeah.
Story.
That would be a wonderful trip right there. What? That in
Yeah,
the
let me know
background?
how that work out for
Woo.
you, partner.
Yeah.
Like,
I
Haitians,
would
they the ones that overthrew the French Revolution. Like, come on, buddy.
I do. I do.
They took
Look,
their island back.
I
That's
do.
what we need to do.
And it was petrol. It was hot. I don't know. I
Yeah,
don't know why
yeah.
I did that. I don't,
Right,
I don't know why
right.
I did
Hey
that.
man, that's a beautiful thing. So with we knowing that it's all about you, we understood about the culture, how they took our own culture. If you realize your own culture, it'll connect you back to your true God self. If
Mm-hmm.
you
Right.
understand your true culture, it'll connect you back with a vibration that allow you to go beyond to the limitation that they confine you in. So
Mm-hmm.
we first got to understand truly, honestly, who you are. And once you find out who you are, the next question is going to be, what is your agenda? What you finna
Hmm.
do? What you finna
Hey,
do next?
it's
What's
bigger
your
than
agenda?
hip hop.
You know?
It's bigger than I'm telling you. It is bigger than hip hop. Look,
You're
Yeah.
right. It's
there's
way
so
bigger
many
than that.
different. There's so many
Talk to me.
different dimensions to. This reminds me of something I was speaking to Danley about recently. There's so many dimensions to purpose in our existence. A part of
Yes.
that is going to belong to yourself, a purpose towards yourself, a purpose towards your children, if you have any, a purpose towards the ones who came before you, a purpose towards the planet. And
Oh, we lost her.
um
Come on back.
but
There you go.
it's there and then within knowing that purpose or understanding those parts of yourself and those different roles that you have to play, the same way we create goals in our practical life, you create goals or agendas that is in alignment with your higher purpose. And then there's times where we have to go back to the drawing board.
Yes.
You know,
Many
Right.
times.
the pandemic
Many
done
times.
hit. Now what's going
Yes.
on? Can y'all hear me?
Yes.
Yeah.
We can hear
I
you.
can't hear you, so I don't know what's up with that. I did have a phone call come through.
You're not muted on my
Okay, I
side.
may have to drop out and come back in, y'all. I'm sorry.
Okay.
All right.
But yeah,
Yeah.
just
So
to
we can.
piggyback on,
So
just to
the
piggyback on
next
what she's
person can go
saying.
until the preachers come back in.
Just to
Yeah, I
piggyback
didn't.
on what she's saying. Go ahead. Go ahead.
Oh no, I was just saying I didn't hear what Impossible said.
Okay. Oh wow.
I mean,
He
I can hear
basically.
him. I just couldn't make it out.
Oh, okay, gotcha. But basically, just to piggyback on what she's saying, that's the agenda is the important thing because right, my the plan that I had, excuse me, the plan that I have, that that's been in the works for I want to say 8 or 9 years now, going on 9 years. When I started the plan, I I purposed to the Most High that I would build a temple in in four different places. So the plan was 4 states. I'd build a temple initially. After building that temple, I would definitely I giving homage. I mean, giving homage to the spirit that created in me and sustained me. Have to do that first. Outside of that, the plan was to rebuild communities in those 4 places and to bring people together in those 4 places. So the idea is a for-profit, nonprofit, and teach trust, teach teach the ability to actually actually to find yourself, to find out who you are, and to begin to walk in your power. I remember talking to Impossible. He talked about an incubator, and it was not the same, exactly the same as him as what he talked about in regards to the incubator, but it was something similar to that. Something similar to it's called Life Semblance. So Life Semblance is a place where young adults and youth are supported. Um, and to bring them in, to give them an opportunity. Because if you live in the places that they live in, and their only focus is where they came from, and they don't know what's outside of that. So to give them an opportunity and to understand what's happening mentally for them, we give them an opportunity to say, here, this is what else you can do. The world is yours. You can travel to any country that you want to. We are the support for that, right? Because it's important. They're the next generation. Um, and it's harder to, what they say, it's harder to rebuild the man than it is to build build from to build a man from a child. So, or to input it. I know it's said a different way, but that's what just came out of my mouth,
We
and
got
I'm
the
sorry.
gist. We
But
got the gist of
basically
what you mean. We
supporting,
got the gist.
yeah, basically supporting them because they're younger and they're impressionable. And if you can support them enough to where they can come to an understanding of what their power is and who they are, then we can watch them move into life and fully become who they are, and and help them understand their alliances, who what their alliance is, who they are to themselves, so they can begin to build and support like they've been supported to pay it forward. So that's a portion of my agenda. It's a lot bigger than what I'm saying, but that's basically the gist of what my agenda is. But solely based in spirituality and understanding that people of all people understand spirituality on so many different levels. It's hard to throw out one thing, and allowing them to speak where they're coming from is important. That way, once they get that out and they realize there's more, there's more to life. Because for me, when I pulled away from Christianity, when I tell you it was like pulling teeth to listen to what somebody else is saying, and it was hard not to combat what I believe versus what they were saying, but then to for it to all begin to soak in and come together, the pieces come together, it all makes sense, and it loops right back into uh, chakras, and loops right back into meditation. It loops right back into those things because it's important that all that happens for you to have a stronger spiritual connection, because that's the basis of your existence. But yeah, so that's a bit of what the agenda is for me.
Donley?
So with it, I had to reevaluate recently what it is that I'm doing, because for a while I felt that I was not doing what I was supposed to be doing based off of how much pushback I was getting every time that I tried to do something. Yes, I said tried because
I didn't say nothing. I didn't say nothing.
I mean I don't know what word to say there. When I attempted, is that better? Okay.
Yep.
So how much pushback I was getting when I attempted to do things in the past, and I actually did a reading with Priestess Imani a couple years ago, and she told me, she was like, you could be so much further than where you are right now, but you keep stopping the things that you're doing. She was like, you need to pick something, you need to stay with it because you're going to flourish in whatever you do. And I was just like, motherfucker, I could be so much further. But I had always end up stopping because the way that I never had support on anything, it always felt like, okay, this is not what I'm supposed to be doing. If I was doing something I'm supposed to be doing, then it would bring the people together. So, and that right there ties into what my agenda is. Like I said on my little coming in intro, I'm a connector. I have accepted that, and with it, I'm going to continue bringing love into the world, a world that is full of evil, where good is seen as bad and bad is seen as good. With that, I'm going to connect as many people to what love feels like, so that way they can understand what love feels like, rather than thinking that the way that they were brought up and the things that they dealt with coming up is what love is supposed to feel like. So, I mean, I'm going to bring that agape love to everyone that I step across.
Danley, I'm not feeling the love.
So I'm not feeling
All right, well, come bring it in.
I love it. I love it. Is there anything else you want to
put with you right now? You remind me of my mom. My mom be doing stuff like that.
I'm not feeling it.
No, I know where I get it from.
He said, "I'm not feeling it."
The agape love. That should be throwing me away. That should just be coming through the screen right now. Where is it at?
So you saying you don't? So you saying, Priestess, you don't feel that love?
Let me turn my ring light up a little bit more so it gets a little brighter. Right?
What's the rose part?
Yeah. Send the frequency through.
Absolutely. We need
Priestess,
that.
You want to add anything else on to your agenda?
Yes. So my agenda, I was just kind of giving the spiel, but I mean, ultimately, I am an activator. I help people to see things that is hard to see, and I help them to deal with things that can be difficult to deal with. I am like an anthropologist. I am a bone woman. So I help people to uncover who they are. And it's not something that happens in just one session or one day. It's something that happens over time. And we bring the pieces together to figure out exactly what creature this is. How does it function? Where did it live? What is it supposed to eat? Who are its ancestors? Where did it originate? Like, I help people to figure out who they are. Um, but also in being a bone woman, I am a person that can resurrect what seems dead. I can find meaning in something that no one can even value or see meaning in. So I'm very resourceful. So ultimately, all of my agendas kind of fold into the essence of who I am. I dream of having a homestead, sometime soon. Because a part of me being a bone woman, I have to be, again, very resourceful. I have to respect bones even when I eat them. So sometimes I'm saving my bones so I can make bone broth. um, or
Mm,
if there's an animal on the side of the road, I might get it and bury it and harvest its bones later. There's just so much that goes into the
mm,
lifestyle of being connected to ancestors, being connected to soil and land.
Mm,
So my agenda is
love.
basically to evolve myself, and so that I can teach others maybe how to keep the land, how to have a homestead, especially children. Um, I'm also an artist, and I believe that art is very much needed outside of technology. So I'm wanting to see more handmade art, more authentic art, because that's how we save our stories in our culture.
Facts.
Yeah, so ultimately, I'm a traditionalist.
mm.
Back
Mm.
to the land. Back to the land.
Back to bases, back to the roots.
Yeah.
The roots of us are our
Yeah.
bones. Take you back to the marrow.
Mhm.
Yeah. Back
Mm.
to the depth of the land, baby. To the marrow.
Absolutely, back
You
to
say
the
back to the
marrow.
marrow. Well, we on the inside of the bone. We on the inside, boy. You know what I'm
Straight
talking about?
up.
So we on the inside. I
Yeah.
mean, my
Mhm.
agenda has always been the whole evolution of soul within man.
Mm,
Whatever your purpose you came for to do, that's cool. Just have that whole evolution of soul within man. Because
mm,
that is the greatest thing that you can do is be right there where you are in purpose and understanding of all that
Mhm.
which you are. So when you're talking about your agenda, let him come in. That's my grandson. He bucking right now. Let
oh.
him come. Open the door. Let him come in. You let him come back this far. Come on, daughter. Huh? Well, why ain't nobody taking my son? I'm sorry, y'all. This is a part. This is a life of Papa.
Oh my
So
goodness,
anywho,
he's so
this
My
part of
adorable.
my
goodness.
this part of my agenda right here.
Yeah, absolutely.
So
Mhm.
everything that you do right now, it should be really focusing on your purpose and the evolution. Well, you gonna talk over me? You gonna let me do it? Okay, thank you. Your agenda should be everything that you came for. That thing that takes you into that next place. So for me, it's nonprofit, it's business. One of my goals is to help 1,000 entrepreneurs to be successful. 1,000. So if you're out there and you're doing some things, you want to know how you've been having some problems. And preachers, I got to talk to you after this right here because you can have a little combo session.
absolutely.
And because what we're able to do collectively can be something that really impacts the community. It can really help others where it really needs to be. Not just thinking for yourself. Even though it's all about me, then I understand the power in that agenda of each each person evolving within themselves. And I'm on the podcast, man.
Got
He
granddaddy,
don't care.
got
Yeah, he don't
Papa
got no
eating
care
boogers on
anywhere.
camera.
Right. Look at you.
Got a finger all
Look
up
at
in
you.
the mouth and the nose.
Yeah. What you at? Yeah, come here. Tell him hey. Tell him hey.
Hey.
All right, we're gonna move into some closing remarks. Anything y'all want to lead? Well, come on, get down there. What you gonna what? I know what you doing. Closing remarks.
Well, guys, I really enjoyed this experience. Thank you for inviting me to be here today. I've learned a lot, and it was nice to be able to share as well. Yeah.
Definitely. Sigma Uno.
I'm always grateful for the platform, the ability to have conversations with people that are like-minded and that are wanting to do things that impact their community and to leave a legacy. Um, I think it's important that a person or an individual considers both sides of their DNA, both sides of their bloodline, to understand who they are, and that helps when we talk about forward movement. But I appreciate listening to everybody's version of how they feel about things being monetized, us being monetized, and just the idea of the solution, the potential solutions to the issue that we're having as a people.
Donley,
I thank you for allowing me to be here. Thankful that why am I last? Like y'all said everything. I don't want to be the dead horse. But nah, true talk, no lie. This is a topic that I wanted to talk about for a while, and I didn't really know if I had anybody to talk to about it. That sounded weird. So ultimately, I'm thankful for the fact that we were able to have this conversation, and without it sounding like we're a bunch of racist, full of ourselves individuals who want to go out and just like hunt them type deal. So I mean, I'm glad we were able to have a conversation like that, because it seems like anytime a melanated individual, whether it's a man or a woman or a whatever they want to be, says something that goes against the Wahite tribe, now we're classifying it as something that might as well be put in as terrorism. So it's just, I'm glad to be able to speak and not get shut down, to be able to speak and express the way that I feel with other people who feel the same way without being labeled as anything or without having to worry about any type of major repercussions.
Absolutely.
So I appreciate that. Thank you.
I'm definitely using the Wahite tribe. Okay.
Oh yeah, yeah.
That's the new term.
Hey, listen, Priestess. Since the first time I heard it, I have been using it since the first time I heard it.
Well, that was the first time for me.
You know,
I want to say this, and we didn't really get to go into this part, but it came to mind that they don't always belong to the Wahite tribe. They can also be us, meaning
Right.
there's a lot of African American people that are running overseas to get initiated into spiritual systems, sometimes by the same people that put your people on boats.
Yep.
And those people, when they are getting initiated into those cultures, they're not paying $10,000+ to get that. Then when you go over there to get your initiation, half the time you're not getting the real thing. You're getting a tourist experience.
Just watered down.
It's watered down.
you got to
So
be deep into the culture before you get that type of experience.
so we are even guilty ourselves of doing things like this. And like I said, I always believe that we have to be accountable, but they does not always equate to the Wahite. Okay.
Well, and I agree with that totally, because we already know true history is some of us sold us.
Yep.
Into bad
North African
situations.
Moors. Yep.
Yeah, so we know who it is. We ain't got to go, and that we know that it was not only the Wahiti tribe, because they couldn't do nothing. They were in the cave. How they gonna do something you in the cave? Sit down somewhere. My closing remarks. I just definitely want to thank you, Priestess, for coming on. I definitely have heard about you from both of my brothers.
Did you just call us
Thank you
preacher?
for blessing me with your presence.
And
yeah, this was a great conversation tonight. I told him last week what the conversation was going to be, and he said, "Hey, can we get Princess on?" I said, "If she want to jump on, tell her come on."
Well, thank you.
You know, I'm open, and yeah, I love the conversation. I appreciate that. And with that, this has been another episode of Talk That Crap.
Yeah.
And we'll catch y'all next time.
Observe and not to support, to discourage. Vision so passionate, it's disturbing. Creative rise, I was positive surgeon. Cosmic folks see emerges. Brain of eternal, hands on my time. Impossible prince can God watch you step in the mind. Soul triggers, power holy divine righteousness. Combined with courage, love of essence. Don't let trauma bind and block your blessings. When you behind the veil, you hear the confession. Give you limitation, corruption, fear, deception.